The Last Outing of 2021 by Justin Orfanella. After a very long time apart, about 21 months, as you may recall me writing when we first started this blog, Julian and I were finally able to meet up in person again. And we were able to do it twice after that, before the winter chill began to set in and the holidays moved ever closer. The third time, we were finally able to make it a trio, with my girlfriend Carly coming along. Unusually for us, we actually had a semi-formed plan all three times, but most of all, that third and final meeting. Why, you might ask, am I writing about this? Because even though the day of our third outing was in November, it helped set the stage for some of the posts coming this year. And I think it would be nice to start the year off on an optimistic note by talking about a fun day that, hopefully, is a good sign of a good year. After the past 2 years, I think it's a good thing to get some positivity out into the world. The day started out a bit rough. I left my phone in my car and only realized this after we were on a moving train, so that wasn't great. I spent a lot of time that day wanting to send texts or check the time, only to remember I was phoneless. If the remarks made that day are anything to go by, I will never live that down. Thankfully, New York's Excelsior Pass app allows more than one person to enter their vaccination proof into the same phone, so our lunch plans were safe. We had a number of stops to make that day, so we decided to start downtown and work our way north. Our first stop was at Fountain Pen Hospital. I wasn't sure what to expect when we went in, but I'd long wanted to visit, and let me tell you, I'm so glad we finally did. I've been to plenty of stationery stores ranging from just general merchandise to highly specialized shops, such as the now closed CW Pencil Enterprise, which I wrote about in our first official post. None of that adequately prepared me for Fountain Pen Hospital. I've never seen so many fountain pens in one place. Their offerings come from most of the major companies, as well as some I wasn't familiar with, and include some high-end pens I never expected I'd see in real life, such as the Visconti Homo Sapiens. Anyone have a spare $700 they want to give me so I can get one? It was hard to pull myself away without buying more than the blue Faber-Castell Hexo I drafted this post with. From there, we went to the subway station at the Oculus. I tried to get a vertical panorama of the building, but my hand shook about halfway up and threw it off, which I didn't know until I pulled the shot off my camera's SD card that night. You can see my attempt over on our Instagram. Before we got on the train, though, we stopped at the Mont Blanc store outlet, where I gawked at more pens that I'll never be able to afford in my lifetime. I held one that was literally worth more than my car and probably twice my annual pay, before taxes. I love my pens, but Mont Blanc's prices start at $500. There's nothing that could ever compel me to spend that much on a pen. I'd be terrified to even use something that expensive. I, by and large, subscribe to the belief that a pen is meant to be used and enjoyed. I use my Pilot Vanishing Point every day at work, despite the fact that it's by far the most expensive pen I own. But for me, there comes a point where it stops being functional simply because the price tag becomes way too high to justify the potential risk of loss or damage, though I'd still use that Homo Sapiens I mentioned before. We took the 1 train uptown to Christopher Street and headed to 90 Bedford Street, where some of the exterior shots used in Friends were filmed. I won't delve too much into that here. Keep an eye out for a full-length post in the future, but Carly and I are big fans of the show, so it was a cool thing to see. A brief walk took us to the Union Square area for a stop at Guitar Center. Julian was looking, unsuccessfully unfortunately, for a specific kind of plectrum, and I was looking to ogle instruments I currently don't have money or space for. We made a quick stop at Staples. CW Pencil Enterprise's closing didn't end Julian's interest in pencils, and then headed over to Forbidden Planet because it's nearly impossible for me to make a trip to the city without picking up some comics. We took a walk down to a nearby Target for a second unsuccessful pencil run, and then took 2 buses up to the Midtown area for food and a few final stops. We ate at the Skylight Diner, one of my personal favorite places to eat, not just in Manhattan, but probably in general. You'll have to keep a lookout for a future post for more about that too, but I'll just say that, as always, it was a delicious and affordable meal. We made another failed search for guitar picks at the Sam Ash a block away from the diner before heading uptown to make a stop at Kinokuniya. For those not in the know, it's a Japanese book and stationery store. So basically it caters to a big section of Julian's and my interests. He found the manga he was looking for. Neither my girlfriend nor I found anything we were inclined to purchase. On our way back to Grand Central, we passed through the Bryant Park holiday shops. It was a bit bittersweet for me, to be honest. It's always a pleasant atmosphere, but as I wrote a couple of weeks ago, it's been a long-standing tradition for our whole group to go around the holidays, and we knew that we weren't going to be able to this year. Still, it was nice to see it, and it kept our streak of having visited every year alive. One more quick stop at another Staples saw Julian emerge triumphant with his pencils, and then we headed home, he on the 7 and Carly and I on the Metro North. All told, a successful, enjoyable day, and the perfect way to end the year, in terms of in-person meetings at least. I know that long-winded play-by-plays of our days out isn't my usual style. It probably reads more like a diary entry than anything. But even so, I felt compelled to write about it. It was one of those days that was about as near perfect as it could be, my forgotten phone aside. And I felt like it should be shared. So hopefully some of you were able to live vicariously through me, and that you're looking forward to the posts to come this year.